welcome to Guest at the HQ. And what you just heard was some samples from a session that we did earlier today, and you're going to be hearing more of it later in the show. And this is really exciting because this is the first episode of what I hope to be many in a series, to have some special people over that I really like playing with and hanging with. And I'm sitting here at the B3. We've used it as a table for our little bread, and on the other side is my good friend Nicke Widén.
Hello there.
Welcome to the HQ.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So nice to have you.
It's so nice to be here.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time you're here playing, right?
I think so. I've been here I've seen this place evolve from the empty room it once was when you moved in here.
Yes.
It's turned into a real studio.
Oh, well, thank you. Glad to hear that. Well, and a lot thanks to you. I mean, these the chairs we're sitting in, for example, came from your studio.
Yeah, it's a circle of life.
So, oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Yeah, it sure is. And you've also been here like in an advisory capacity.
Okay, that's stretching it maybe.
That's how I see it. So yeah, and we have played together. So let's see, if I remember correctly, could it be like 2005?
Five, I think.
Five.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was, yeah.
2005, yes.
That was the first time.
And it has been there are some big common denominators, like what brought us together that first time was Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
And Elvis show because we've been living in the same town of Uppsala for quite a few years. And so yes, and we actually I was already playing in that show like a year or two before, and then you joined. Well, actually, the whole orchestra was wiped out except.
Yeah, yeah. I think wasn't that band from the beginning kind of a strange setting for a cover band in Sweden anyway, with a Hammond organ and a pedal steel and a big choir.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I would say. And then I mean, it really found after you came along, everything just fell into place.
Of course.
Yeah. But yeah. So
yeah, that was the first time we played together.
Yeah.
And we've been ever since.
Yes. Okay. And but also it's this is actually I would say and just to yeah, you've of course already seen it, but to be absolutely clear, Niklas or Nicke is you play the pedal steel, but you're also often referred to as a multi-instrumentalist.
Yeah.
And to clarify,
I'm only playing a steel here.
Yes,
no
but just to I think it's worth mentioning that you do play the guitar, but also banjo and dobro.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sorry we didn't do that today. We have to do next session. We have to broaden.
So you mean I'm the next guest as well? You mean that?
Well, yeah. Well, who knows? Well, but
no. But today it's pedal steel only. I think the pedal steel has evolved to become my main instrument through the years.
But
I started out.
It wasn't.
I started on guitar, regular 6-string,
okay.
and discovered other instruments along the way. But I would say for the most part of my so-called professional career,
yeah,
the pedal steel has been the main instrument.
Yes, yeah. Like I just like playing the Hammond is like a. So it's in a way, at least in Sweden, I would say both the Hammond and the pedal steel is kind of a exotic instrument.
I think most people can't tell the difference if they see one on the picture.
Probably, yeah. But
has to be heard.
And
yeah, but I see what you mean. Yeah, and what makes it extra fun in this little setting that we're experimenting with is kind of trying to get them to mix together.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
and with the drummer as well, because just the visual effects of three guys sitting down playing with both their hands and their feet, just looking down, looking introvert.
yeah.
That's a good visual start.
Well,
to begin with.
I hope, oh my God, I don't hope we look like that all the clip. Well, but we'll see the clips.
Yeah, it will be exciting to see.
but yeah, and this is actually something you've been talking about for quite some time. This idea of this.
Yeah, we've both been to and from gigs in endless hours in cars.
You know this. We should start a band. Yeah, we should.
It only took 15 years.
Well, yeah, at least to do something that will be out for the public to see. Yeah. Because there are, but we can get back to that.
Let's do it.
But okay, so maybe we should play the first song from the session.
Sure.
And we were discussing. So we were discussing songs to do, and so this is one I have to say this is one I would have never proposed, but I'm glad you did. And beautiful song, a beautiful.
It's a nice song. It's a nice arrangement. Yeah. I mean, when choosing songs for this kind of setting, I think one of the hard things to do is not choose obvious songs. I mean, obvious steel guitar related songs or obvious Hammond songs. This is, in a way, in the community of pedal steel players, is kind of an obvious song because this arrangement that we're playing is based on a legendary recording by the equally legendary Buddy Emmons, I would say the greatest pedal steel guitarist ever.
That's a bold statement. You dare?
Yeah, and now I wonder why did we choose that one? Have to. Well, here it is.
And I thought that maybe in the meantime we could have some bread.
Slice it up. I can't wait.
And this is my sourdough, and I'm just gonna.
So it's your own creation.
Yes.
It's not from a store.
No, it's not from a store. I baked it this morning. And this is the best moment when you have the first slice and you see, and this is when you see how good it was. But I have to say, I'm pretty, you know. What do you think? Okay. So anyway, here's Danny Boy. So that was Danny Boy.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, we've been eating some bread. How was it?
It was wonderful.
Thank you so much.
You want me to rate it on a scale?
I don't know, but no,
It was fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Fine bread.
It's become one of my traditions to bring a bread wherever I go. It's gotten to the point even when I go to a gig, sometimes I'll bring a bread for the the organizer. Great trick to get more gigs.
Good one.
And also just a
sneaky.
It's like a social. Yeah, I made some bread. Come on.
Yeah, it's a nice tradition.
But yeah, anyway, about the music, I think that song and that's that style, that way of playing, that really embodies what is pedal steel, for at least for me.
Yeah, I understand. What's so special about it? I don't know how many of your viewers that really know what the instrument is, what a pedal steel is. Maybe most people know. I don't know.
No, don't be so sure.
I guess
tell us.
No, I could sit here for hours.
Yeah.
I don't think we have time. But I think what you mean about this kind of arrangement makes it so typical for what you think a pedal steel does. And I think what you mean is playing harmonies that are sort of infinite counterpoint in a way. In a way that you don't you're not limited to changing pitches within a chord in certain steps, like on a keyboard or on your organ.
Yes.
That you're basically moving freely in pitch between voices in a chord, basically.
Yeah.
I guess that's what you're.
Yeah,
that's what
and I mean you do. I mean, and also the things you. The things you play, and it just that arrangement contains so much of the craft of playing. That's
called that song in that version that this arrangement is based on is available on a record by Buddy Emmons, referred to as the Black Album.
Okay.
So he has I think it was before the Beatles with the Black Album. Everybody interested in steel guitar in general, and in this kind of music, should really try to get a copy of that album.
Okay.
There are some cuts on YouTube.
Yeah, because I tried to find it on I tried to find it on Spotify, but it wasn't there.
No, there isn't much pedal steel music at all actually on Spotify. That's a shame.
Yeah. So I mean, this is what I think is so fun as well, because I do learn a lot from doing these kind of things. Since we're talking the instrument, just I didn't plan on going too deep, but if you could just
we
give
can scratch the surface a little. Maybe.
Just like there are like how many strings, and you have a few pedals.
Yeah.
And what do they do?
I tried to keep it as simple as possible, but steel guitars. The term steel guitar got its name from the way it's played, with a steel bar, a solid steel bar in your left hand that you slide across the strings. I think most people, I would dare to say everyone has heard a steel guitar. Maybe not a pedal steel. I guess most people have heard a pedal steel guitar. But the thing is, when you play an instrument with a straight bar instead of your, for example, if you compare it to a guitar, where you use your fingers to form chords and play scales. And that. If you would play a guitar with one finger, like with a bar chord with only your first finger, it would get kind of limited, and you would have to move the bar around very much to try to find places where you can play scales, or where you can play more than just maybe 2 chord notes together. And so most kind of steel and slide guitar is played on open tunings. In a way, you tune your open strings to a chord. It may be a major chord, or a 7th chord, or a 6th chord. 6th chords are quite popular with steel guitar players, or were when the tunings were evolving, because they contain a major and a minor triad and a 6th and so forth. So you can play different chords with just a steel bar in your hand. But along the way, and with evolution, came the idea of changing notes within a tuning, to change it into a different chord, or into a whole different tuning. And while you're holding your steel bar in your left hand and you're picking strings with your right hand, there's no way you can adjust like tuning screws or anything. So let's not get into. There are a few different people and a few different companies accredited with the idea of putting pedals on a steel guitar. But the idea was to press a pedal, and that manipulated the pitch of certain strings to change the open chord tuning into a different chord. And once that was discovered, I mean, there are really no limits to what you can do with any number of pedals, or any number of strings changed within the tuning.
And from what we're looking, you don't see the steel guitar in the picture now, but we're looking at it because it's standing where
it's right in front of us.
Yes, and when I look at it, and I've seen and this is your studio steel.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And it's not the one that I've seen mostly at gigs, right?
No, that's right. It's kind of sensitive to changes in climate and humidity. So it takes a while for it to stabilize.
Yeah.
So if you take it out from the trunk of a car and set it up on a sunny outdoor stage, it's the tuning is just going everywhere.
But so what I noticed is that, I don't know, but some of them have. I mean, this has just one set of strings, and you have you can have 2.
Yeah, it's like comparing like for example your lovely Rhodes piano that's standing beside my steel guitar, which you can't see, to a B3, which has 2 manuals.
Yes.
I mean, it's like the same thing. The original idea for having, I don't know what the original idea for organs, church organs, and so to have double manuals. I don't know really that history. Is it for playing like different sounds or different registers?
I think that you can have different sounds and different, and you have like a. Yeah, I think that's the idea.
The idea of having steel guitars with multiple sets of strings, multiple necks, came before anyone discovered the use of having a pedal to change the tuning, because then you could have instruments with many different tunings on. Fender, for example, made a guitar with as much as 4 necks on the same guitar, which was a regular production model. So you can play, for example, maybe one neck had a major chord tuning. You can play just major chords. Another maybe had 7th chords or some kind of chromatic tuning, so you can switch between different necks to play different kinds of harmonies. And with more pedals added to one tuning, there was more things you can do on the same tuning, which eliminated the needs of more necks. And this one that I play now, has a single neck. But it's got 12 strings, where most steel guitars of this tuning that I play have 10 strings. I could get really nerdy with this stuff, but I think I better stop here.
Yeah, yeah.
The 2 extra strings on my guitar, it allows me to reach a little deeper in the range of the instrument than the normal 10 strings. Whereas if I would have a guitar with another neck on, that other neck is more often tuned in a lower tuning. Yeah. So that gives you that lower register.
But also, just correct me if I'm wrong, but so here I see 4 pedals, and I've seen on your other there are more.
Yeah. That's because this one that I play now, it's an E9 tuning. Okay. It's basically tuned in an E major chord with a major 7th. There's a 9th, which would make it a major 7th tuning. A major 9th tuning, I mean. But there's also a minor 7th. So it has... it's just easier to call it E9.
Yeah.
And that's the most standard pedal steel guitar tuning there is. And I think most people that have ever heard a pedal steel have heard the E9 tuning. So this is a so-called extended version of that tuning that I have on my guitar. Double neck guitars often have a C6 tuning. Yeah. That it's tuned to open C6 chord, and it reaches deeper into the bass. But then my other guitar, which is also a 12-string guitar, because I find it easier to just play one neck instrument. They are easier to haul around, and I like to have the same amount of strings on my guitar. So it's easier to play only 12 strings, for example. But that guitar has a different kind of tuning, which is a combination of the E9 and C6 tunings, but in a E9 and a B6 tuning. So it's a C6 tuned down 1/2 step. And it has basically the functions of the E9 tuning and the extra pedals that work the other tuning, all built into one universal tuning, which is called.
Okay. So, and just to...
I promise, that was all pedal steel related.
You remind me so much of when people ask me to speak about organs, and I always start with a disclaimer. You have to tell me when to stop, because I won't.
Exactly.
So, I totally get it. I think we covered what we need to do. And I would just add that I know you used to do some small video clips and put on your Instagram or something. Do you still do that?
Not really. I was really into it in like 2018 or something. Yeah. I decided to make at least a clip a week. Yeah. I think for a beginner it was maybe a clip a day, but I got tired of it. Yeah. And I think I last uploaded something last year or something.
Okay, but they're still there. So I mean, there are.
I think. One way to use Instagram for us musicians, or may it be any kind of creators, is to just build a portfolio of stuff you do. Just different, and just before Instagram TV and this, it was limited to 1 minute.
Yes.
So short little clips, and I think I have maybe about 100 of them, maybe.
Oh, that's. I mean, and that's. So and what is your nickname on
Instagram? It's
at
Nicke Widén. It's NICKEWIDEN. I think you may get as technical as to put it up on the screen.
Oh yeah. Right well, let me try that, and you can find it somewhere. Yeah.
Somewhere in the screen.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Because that's. I think that's one of the. One of the purposes that I like to do this kind of thing is to like I want to present you to I want my viewers to know who you are, and because I feel so rich in friends to have such beautiful talented friends, and that I want to just share. Like if you didn't know Nicke Widén, here's Nicke Widén. So
here I am.
So. Yeah, so maybe we should listen to some more music.
Yeah, that's a good excuse for having another loaf of bread.
Yes, and I've been been waiting for me
another
for
slice, not a loaf.
Yeah, I only brought one, so yeah. Well, anyway, so this next song, a little more tempo and really fun. I think that's a really fun song in this trio setting.
Yeah, it worked out nice.
Yeah, we don't need to dive. You'll see for yourself, I think.
Sure.
So let's just listen. Here's Sweet Georgia Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that was Sweet Georgia Brown. And that reminds me, you know, what we're doing here today, I would say this project started about 10 years ago, a little more. You remember a session we met, and because I had an idea to do something similar, and so I invited you, and we were actually in my kitchen.
Yeah.
Jamming in my kitchen. I had this B3 and a Leslie, and you had the steel, and we had the steel through a Leslie.
Through a Leslie as well, yeah.
and we played like songs like this one. I don't think we did Sweet Georgia, but maybe Cherokee, I think we did.
Yeah, that's right.
And a couple of other tunes, Tennessee Waltz, and even some, I think we played a Backstreet Boys tune.
I think so.
And
maybe it was a Wonderwall or
yes,
something. Yeah.
Oasis, yeah. So I think I have some pictures. So I'll put it up on the screen. See if I can do that. But I think so. Yeah. But yeah, that was I think in the fall of 2011.
I think it was, yeah.
And and then it just we didn't do anything with it. and I didn't like that was also an idea to have having these kind of sessions in the kitchen. I didn't have the HQ back then. I didn't have even my previous studio. So anyway, nice to finally get things done. You know.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, there was one thing I was thinking about also when you talked about the steel and the similarities between the organ. And because I would say, I mean, they are American instruments.
They are.
And the most of the people you look up to, the heroes of the instrument, are mostly American.
Yeah, that's correct.
But did you But for me, when I started playing the organ, I didn't know any of I didn't know Jimmy Smith, I didn't know Jimmy McGriff or anything. But it was the Swedish players that got my initial interest. It was Pierre Svärd, who was the first I heard, and who was living, and I grew up in the same town as him, and also Kjell Öhman. And then after that, I started discovering the whole. But what was your journey into the instrument?
Well, I actually can't really remember. I never had a big moment where I first heard or discovered a pedal steel. But like I said before, I started with guitar and discovered other instruments along the way. I think the first deviation was a banjo. I just happened to walk by a music store. There was a sale, and I picked one up and just started playing the banjo. I knew what a banjo was, but I had no I didn't really grow up around that kind of music or anything. I just thought it looked cool, it sounded cool. And I think it was the same thing with the steel guitar. And back then, I think I got interested in learning the pedal steel. Maybe it was 1999 or early 2000, maybe. And back then, the epicenter of steel guitar in Sweden was a guy called Janne Lindgren.
Yes.
Who
preceded you in that band?
Exactly.
Who you replaced?
Yeah,
with
he
honor.
was like the pedal steel player in Sweden, since he was actually the first in the early 60s.
Okay.
And remained the major pedal steel guy until, well, there are a lot of more actually than you may think in Sweden. There are active and playing in bands and recording and stuff. Many great players, but he was like the major guy that everyone's first call.
Yeah.
And he also he had a little business selling and trading instruments. So he was also the natural guy to call if you wanted to find an instrument. So I bought my first steel from him in, I think it was 2000.
Okay.
22 years ago.
But that's I think it's interesting what you said there, because it's like the way you describe, because I often get the question when I'm out at gigs and I bring the Hammond and I play, and always people come up to me and it's not often you see a Hammond. There can't be many players out there. How many are there?
You keep track? You have a record?
No, but I usually answer them in the same way, that well, there's more than you think, and of course sometimes it's a little question of definitions when you because you can play the Hammond in more. There are several ways of playing the Hammond depending on how you define it.
Yeah, there's not only one Hammond.
But
I think we shouldn't even go there.
No,
I know.
No. Yeah.
The can of worms.
But there are no steel clones in the same way. Maybe you can do you can divide it into real pedal steels and lap steels and stuff.
And then there's just ordinary bottlenecks slide guitar as well.
Yeah.
And, but just to, I think I never really answered your question about who were my early influences, and so I think for us steel players, we do, as this was back in 99 or 2000s, it was long before YouTube existed, for example. And if you wanted to find books on the instrument, you have to either get real lucky and find one in a music store, or you have to order them on maybe some early Swedish internet bookshop or something, or order them from Amazon, if Amazon existed back then. I can't really remember. But for us steel players, there has been a big forum, a steel guitar forum online. Must be one of the earliest big message boards. I think it's been online since 1997, and really all the world's steel players are gathered there. So I think today it has. I can't really say how many registered users, but I guess years ago there were like 10 or 20,000 users. So that was a really great and continues to be a really great and evolving resource for new steel players. And all the major session guys in Nashville are active users as well, so you can just reach anyone.
Wow. Okay.
And it's a really great community in that way.
Yeah.
So that was actually one of the first places I just started living there.
Okay.
Just reading topics and searching the big archives, which already then had a wealth of information.
That's interesting. I mean, again, I can relate a lot because it's the same with the Hammond. There are few teachers, there are not that much material, and especially in those early days, and you scour the internet really to just. And actually, that one thing that was so fun the other day I discovered was that back like in 20 years ago, I was in my student dorm room. I had my Hammond, of course, and I was looking for stuff, and I would visit this, find a site where a guy would speak about how to play the bass and how the jazz guys did it, and it was like that was really, really good information. It's called Scott the Organ Freak, and actually, and then I met, and then this guy on Facebook, we started chatting just recently. Scott Hawthorne turned out to be the organ freak. So I finally got to thank him for, thank you for providing that resource in those early days, because that really helped me. And and I mean now it's a whole other story.
Okay. It's time for a song.
But we could let's just introduce the topic a little, because now we're getting to Elvis.
Yeah.
And okay, so we can't dive too deep into that either, because it's it's a can of worms for sure.
Yeah, of course. What can we say? I think it's when we started talking about what kind of songs to play in this setting, and it felt really natural to just pick an Elvis song.
Yes,
because that was kind of what brought us together musically.
Yes. Yeah.
With that said, I think, at least speaking for myself, but none of us were really big Elvis fans back when we grew up, right? Or did you?
No.
Did you have that kind of relationship to Elvis?
I mean, you've heard the standard,
the big hits.
Yeah. And it didn't. I mean, didn't know much about the person. Didn't know.
The same here. It was just a cultural phenomenon.
Also, so much of his, because he's done recorded so much, and yeah, it was just a fraction that like the rock hits and the 70s Vegas stuff, and maybe the comeback special or something, but not that much more.
But now, after 15 years of Elvis education, of course it has I guess turned us into fans, but what has been really educational and interesting through these years is just the width of the material that he recorded, and still after 15 years. And playing one of the concepts of this Elvis band has been making it a musical tribute, not the ordinary Elvis tribute, choosing maybe the lesser known material.
Yes.
And after having spent 15 years of playing Elvis more odd material, I think we have still only scratched the surface of his
and
catalog.
I have a binder at home.
Yeah.
I think it's like this, and because I've collected, I've done lead sheets for each song, and it's like it's about this thick and still and we have to give a shout out to Kent Venman, founder, and just overall, how do you say? Eldsjäl is the term in Swedish, but enthusiast and it's his vision, his project.
I would not be surprised if he ended up here as a guest.
I probably will someday. Yes, yeah, and then you will hear some stories.
Oh yeah. I promise you that.
So and just through the fraction of songs that we've played, it's still a lot of songs.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that. It's not that easy to choose, but I'm really happy with what we did choose.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, we just came up with it minutes before recording.
How about that one?
Yeah.
But this has been one of my, since we played. I think we played on a birthday party show 5 years ago or something, I immediately I hadn't heard it before, and that immediately just this is my kind of song.
Yeah.
And you can play, because it's also a song you can do this Billy Preston kind of thing.
Yeah.
So then you know me, I love that. So let's listen. Let Me Be There.
Enjoy.
That was Let Me Be There. And this is our final segment.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I thought we'd broach on on another topic, which turned out a lot different than we'd expected. Just a week ago, we met and you know, just we planning what are we gonna do? What are we gonna play? Because the thing, except Elvis, that has that is a common denominator and common interest
that we discovered only like a few. Now it's many years ago, but after quite a long time of knowing each other.
Yeah.
Just by it was just a coincidence.
Yeah.
We just started talking about it on the way to or from a gig, I think.
Yeah, I don't even I can't even remember
where and when.
Yeah, do you?
Neither can I. This is so useless information, but I think it was it on the way home from Grisslehamn?
Yeah, well, I was picturing the same area, you know, some up north
around
or something.
Gimo. I think.
Yeah. So just about an hour north of where we are. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I was picturing kind of the same. So yeah, plausible. I won't deny it. So yeah, and this is also dates back, maybe 10 years or so.
Yeah, sure.
And then this idea, and I don't know who came up with the original idea to combine these two. You know, we had the Elvis, and we both knew some Russian, and to okay, what about doing Elvis in Russian? And it turned into a project that we had so we started a little duo called Tavarishi Elvisa, which means like Elvis's comrades. And the premiere gig was, if I remember correctly, like September 14th, 2013.
Sounds about right.
Well, anyway, it was this culture night thing in our in our hotel. Yeah, and of course having Nicke here today. Just last week we were discussing maybe we should do something with the Tavarishi Elvisa. But
and even then we felt like, was it?
We weren't
is
sure.
Is it appropriate?
Yes, we weren't sure. And then, as it turned out, it's totally inappropriate.
Yeah, it's
and not even in a funny way.
Because it's how do you explain the project? But it's kind of it is a fun project.
Yeah,
we have taken it very seriously.
Yeah.
We spent countless hours translating Elvis songs with our limited but still knowledge of the Russian language.
Yeah.
But of course, it has been a project that it's been a project of joy and fun, and it feels like maybe this isn't the right time for that.
Because I mean it's out of love for Elvis and for the language, the Russian language. It's beautiful in itself, but now it just seems wrong to even so we decided to do something else, and so we talked about just playing something for Ukraine and for freedom, and we saw. I think it was you that. For me, it's the best song for that purpose, because it's a song that I love. Hymn to Freedom by Oscar Peterson. I've played it all my years, one of the first songs I learned, I think, on the organ, because the record, the Oscar Peterson record was one of the records that got me into playing jazz.
And it's also kind of an impromptu arrangement of the song, but with the idea of this one we're doing on just the steel guitar and the organ together. And it's an example of how we tried to arrange it in a way that the sounds intertwine each other. And just it could be played like a solo organ arrangement, but it's try to just unite the instruments in a way.
Yes.
And out of that you can make any yeah.
No.
Go ahead.
No, and this calm, meditative mood.
Yeah.
Just let it, and not do, the song is so beautiful as it is, and you don't have to really do much with it if you don't want to. It's there, and just, I like those kind of songs. So that'll be the last musical piece. Before that, also, I'd like just and that there's so there are a few things that I thought I'd mention I'm just gonna throw it in here.
Do it.
But are you still like accepting, like if someone wants to find you, where can they find you?
Well, do you want to like give them my address?
No,
but I think I'm on most social media.
Yes.
But I think I decided to keep my Instagram account the sort of music account. The professional account. So I think that would maybe be the first.
I mean that's.
That being said, I have been just terrible at checking my DMs and stuff lately, but I promise I will.
No, but
I will get better at that.
Say that someone would want to have, because you do studio work. You can add steel guitar to recordings and send files and all that.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to do that, they can contact you on Instagram.
They can, or maybe even my email address can be viewed.
So.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, but
Instagram is it's a good start.
So that's number one. Yeah, because as I said, I want you to know who this guy is, Nicke Widén.
For that, I'm grateful.
Also, I wanted to mention that. Let's see.
Oh.
You were also the mixing engineer on my second album. Becoming. Let's see if I can get this. There. I think that's without reflexes. So we did this. We did the mixing from this. That was really. I thought it was a really interesting process.
It was.
As well, and also one thing that I also remembered, that there is one song. There's one record. Speaking of Elvis, and you have this. I did with this Elvis project, like a spin-off thing. I did a instrumental. We did an instrumental record, with just Hammond, where the Hammond is like
that's right.
It's called the Rockahula Baby and Other Movie Songs Associated with the King, and so that's an instrumental record, 5 movie songs where the organ has the main role, and I think you play at least one of those.
I think so.
And that's a beautiful ballad called, what's it called? I Need Somebody to Lean On, I think. Yeah. Anyway, that was a few things that I wanted to mention before we quit. So
should we also acknowledge our great drummer?
Oh, of course. Yeah,
or
of course.
Should we? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, of course. But and for you who have, if you've seen my streams and other clips, you probably recognize him. But Daniel Olsson, who's also playing, and he's the one playing on this record, for example, and he plays on my first record as well, finally, and you've played with him a lot too.
Yeah.
So and it was so fun, that session we had earlier today.
I hope it comes through.
Yeah. So, and also, wow, my first pod episode, or what to call it.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you, and I hope it'll be the first of many. Thank you so much, Nicke Widén.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And with that, thank all of you for watching. And if you're hearing this, you stay to the end. Kudos. Now we'll take a moment and we'll play Hymn to Freedom. Goodbye and see you soon.